on? You having storms out there?
Yeah, we had storms. I guess it was past 2 days. Well, the past week.
Okay.
And then yesterday the winds were high, so just bad weather all the way around.
I see. Well, it maybe shouldn't surprise me because a couple days ago, that Oklahoma disappearance, Leonard Derrickson. I actually got to speak to his son, who was the last person to see him. His son, who was 15, 16. And that day, he's in Oklahoma, and he said he had to take shelter. Well, maybe a couple of days. It was today, maybe Tuesday. Could have been
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday. Tuesday, some tornadoes rolled through somewhere in Oklahoma.
Up north.
Yeah.
Yep. I know.
Yeah. Right.
So,
So what's up? It's been a week. And I don't mean that just literally, but figuratively. It's been a
yeah,
week, right? Right, D?
yeah. Because remember, we had just had this conversation that, it would surprise us. You know what I mean? Me and you did. And then the next thing I know, it was landing in my lap, and I'm like, what? I had Ange from Black Sheep by Design, also known as Voice for the Voiceless. She reached out to me first Sunday night, and she was like, hey. And I was like, hey. She goes, you hear about Arctic? I was like, what happened to Arctic? That was my first thought, is what happened to him. Nothing of the sorts of what happened did I ever think it. Huh?
Didn't see it coming.
No. I mean, I went over it with several of my YouTube friends about it. It's like, there's several of us who are in the same boat that, are out here advocating for this and against this, and it's one of those, where'd that come from?
Right.
Duchess, she's another big YouTuber who does missing. She was totally blindsided by it.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, no, I should have seen this. And of course, Doodle, with her being a retired cop, she's like, I should have seen this. I'm like, I think we all think that. We all think we should have seen it.
I don't know. Once again, as I've stated before, I think we humans, we overestimate, our ability to sniff out liars and cheats and killers and everything else. We think we have this sixth sense. We don't.
Yeah.
We don't. We do not. We don't.
Obviously.
This is no different than when men are cheating on their women out there and get away with for years, and the women's never suspect. Of course, vice versa. Overestimate. I'll know if he's doing this. I'll know if she's doing this. No, you won't, unless it's just obvious. Unless they make a big mistake or something like that. Unless they don't mind getting caught. Otherwise, we don't have any spidey senses. We just don't. And the thing is also that we're always trying to think the best of people. And we, you don't want to go through life being doubtful and cynical and suspicious of every dang last thing in your life. You know what I mean? Who wants to live like that? So.
And I have others out there. Oh, I knew. How'd you know? Because none of the rest of us did.
You knew that. Why didn't you turn them in then?
Yeah.
You're so dang smart.
I'm like,
how was it finally made public? I mean, what?
Well, okay. So OPP, Oklahoma Predator Prevention, are the ones who sent a decoy out for him.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. And set him up with it. So And then they showed up where he lives, and the cops wouldn't even arrest him.
They didn't arrest him?
Didn't arrest him.
Okay. Why? I mean, is there something, was there maybe an entrapment case to be made here?
Yes, there is an entrapment case to be made here.
Okay. Well, I don't know then.
And they're like, we can't do nothing. We didn't do the investigation. We didn't there wasn't a warrant put out for him. We can't do shit. What do you want us to do? Well, smack him on his hand, tell him not to do that again?
Let's just say then that maybe not everything is as it appears to be. Maybe.
That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe not everything is as it appears to be. I think I can say with a lot of confidence that most people who would never do that are not going to get caught up in something. But no. I think that there's something to be said. Well, if they didn't arrest him, they didn't even take him into custody, they didn't read him his rights, then what exactly are we talking about here?
Well, we saw the cops get out and yell at the guys who did this. Oh. Yeah.
Well, once again, he's not been charged with anything. He hasn't been read his rights. He wasn't in handcuffs, on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
So, let's just keep this in a bit of perspective. Okay, let's before everybody gets too crazy on this, that of course, once again, I know nobody wants to get caught up in something like this, but we have to remember nothing has been done through the law. Nothing like that. So let's not get too crazy about this. I agree. No. Not the greatest look. Now it very well may be. It may cause some people to look deeper into his background.
Yeah,
that's maybe the thing that, and if there's nothing found, if people want to, start going, and trying to figure out, what he's been doing, and they find nothing, then maybe he should be given a little bit of a break, not a big break, but a little bit of a break, but
given a little bit of grace.
But on the other hand, sometimes this is the way that people who are into these things sometimes get exposed. It's not necessarily a crime that gets them in trouble. It's just some awkward situation that then gets people to thinking.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but let's just all remember that he wasn't taken to jail. They didn't read him his rights. He didn't have to get a lawyer, on and on and on. He's a free man out there. And I know a lot of people maybe aren't going to like that because they look at the circumstances, but those are the facts.
Yeah, and that's what Death even said. He goes, okay, did they arrest him? I was like, no, there's no. And he's like, okay.
No.
He goes, most of the time, if they think that something is going on like that, they will arrest them. I was like, but it's not a good look. It's not a good look for a child advocate. You know what I mean? Or someone who says they're a child advocate.
Certainly not. Certainly not. But
he did go and check himself into a mental institution. So
maybe that's what he needs, and give him credit for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not a good look. That's why when you first brought this up to me, I have, as many crazy emails and people contacting me and everything over the years. I am just so suspicious and everything of all of it. You know what I mean? So when I talk to people who I don't know who that person is. That person could be in North Korea or something. I keep it very simple, keep it very clear, and that's about it. The example that I've always given is people say, I want to tell you about this disappearance. Here's my number. Call me. And I email them back. I'm not calling you. I'm not calling you. I don't do that. Okay. I'm not calling. People do that. I mean, seriously. I get messages through the website, on Messenger, on Facebook, an unfoundpodcast@gmail.com. They'll just say, I have something to tell you about this disappearance you covered. Call me. I said, I'm not calling you. Instead, what I say, you type it, you respond to me, you tell me what you want to tell me. And if I think it's important, I'll talk to you further. Otherwise, I'm not calling you. Because you don't know where you're calling. You don't know where it's going. You don't, and or I want to send you files or anything. No, don't send me any files. Don't do that. It's just, it doesn't pay to be friendly online for the most part when you're just getting contacted by strangers and things.
Oh,
Even though we are in the business of getting tips and things like that, you just have to be.
Well, no, my favorite is they want to call me a tips, and I'm like, no. I don't take tips. Sorry.
Once again, it's I know we're straying from the topic a little bit, but people's, well, I have something to tell you about this disappearance. You got to know this. Just tell the police, man. I mean, I'm a reporter. I'm here to help people out and everything. But if you really think you know something that really can turn a case in a positive direction, I don't need to know about it. I'm just the middleman. At that point, you just go to the police, and then they'll, of course, come back. Why well, can't go to the police? I don't know what to tell you. So, but if people can get down, they get depressed, they're lonely. Maybe they do have some mental health issues going on. Maybe they're drunk. Maybe they're high.
We'll see. About 3 weeks before this happened. About 3 weeks before this happened, Ed, I had to talk Arctic out of taking all his medication and just ending it.
Well,
yeah. So there's a lot going on with him because of this last husband that just kind of messed with his head. And I think that might have been what was his breaking point, Yeah.
And so I'm willing to give him a little bit of grace and everything. Once again, he wasn't arrested. He doesn't have to register as a sex offender. Nothing. All right.
And no child was harmed. So
yeah, right. That too. And this isn't like that To Catch a Predator from 20 years ago, whenever it was. Guys traveling 1,000 miles and showing up with, a 6-pack of beer and some cupcakes or something to meet a 13-year-old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm glad it hasn't happened to me, but this is why you just have to be
really check into who you're talking to.
You have
really
to
have to
careful.
These
computers that we have, they are dangerous. They're dangerous.
So are dating websites. Who knew, right?
Yes. Right. I don't. So, yeah, very sad.
So what are your thoughts this week on the Nancy Guthrie stuff? Still the same, or?
I like it that they're going back to looking in the neighborhood again. In fact, last night I'll tell you, it's funny. Last night at trivia, my entire team just finally asked me, "Well, Ed, what do you think?" Because I don't bring it up. If I'm not asked, I don't bring up disappearances in front of other people. Okay, if they they know what I do, they can ask. If they're interested, they'll ask me. I'm not going to force anything upon anybody. But I got to go through my dissertation on it, and I will say again, and I don't think that group. I've been playing trivia with that group for like 6 months now. I don't think we've ever talked about disappearances until last night. I like it. They're going back into the neighborhood and taking it much more seriously. That this may be something that's a little closer to home than they might have originally realized.
Well, reports is the reason why they went back searching is because they lost internet in certain places.
I saw that. I don't. Maybe I don't know what to think. Then why is it that the camera on her house worked?
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
That was my question. So you telling me they had something to make cameras stop working, but hers just kept on going, huh?
Yeah. You'd think that would be the one that they would want to make sure doesn't work for sure. And it's obvious to me that the guy who went up there didn't know that it was working. He didn't see that it was working. Well, it's like, oh no, he decided to go through with it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, I once again, is this a coincidence or is there causation and correlation? My thinking is that, if we're talking, there was like some box in the neighborhood. I don't know. My interpretation of all this is that's kind of stuff's getting vandalized all the time. It's just sitting out there. Idiots, drinking and driving, kids, who knows, homeless people, doing stupid stuff. I don't know.
Well, see, I seen, what was it, yesterday? Or a couple of days ago, or it might have been a week ago now. How else I don't remember. That the javelinas were out there eating the flowers that people were putting out for them. Or for the family. Yeah.
Javelinas. Are we going? Are we going there again, D?
The javelinas. Hey, you want to hear the weirdest thing? I was watching one live streamer last night out there in front of the house, and I heard screaming.
You heard screaming?
Others did too. I'm not the only one.
You heard screaming?
Yes, someone screaming for help. The guy that lived up at one of the houses walked down and was like, "Did you guys hear that? Were you guys yelling?" No, we weren't the ones yelling.
People are...
But at the same time, there's also ambulances and everything else going by. So it could have been coyotes. Could have been panther. Or bobcat, mountain lion, whatever you want to call it.
I don't know. Thing is, somebody knows that somebody's live streaming or something. They'll start doing stupid stuff in the background.
Especially at night. Especially with these two scary cats.
Yeah, right. Especially at night. It's no different than I remember years ago. Was it in Oregon or somewhere? There was some town. There was like some weird sound. Do you remember that, D? Like I said, the humming, maybe, or there was a weird screaming sound that allegedly nobody could find. They couldn't find the origin of it and everything.
I've heard about that humming.
Yeah, the humming. Yeah, there was a very famous humming, like in Detroit, like on the border with Canada. They were trying to figure it out. And they figured out it had something to do with some air conditioning system in a warehouse or something. But this was something that was like in a smaller town, and you don't even know if it's real or not. So when I think of things like, well, there was screaming in the background during this live stream and everything, I don't know. People do stuff. And
well, heck, you want to know how many buried dogs they found today?
Buried dogs?
Yes, the civilians are out there searching.
Where?
Out in the desert. Out in the desert.
You mean near Nancy Guthrie's place?
Yes. And
Um,
Annie's house.
what? Excuse me?
I said, and Annie's house. There was also buried dogs out there too, behind her house. The
Oh,
daughter that lives there in Tucson.
okay. You found buried dogs, huh?
Yep.
All right. We got a buried dog somewhere, I guess. How many? How many?
I think there was at least 5 found today.
Okay.
And I was like, you just dug up a grave site. No, not really.
No, people have multiple dogs. They die, they go bury them out in the backyard. Not everybody, gets them cremated. I mean, what
Exactly.
are you supposed to do? I mean, the dog that we had, when he died in 1995, he got cremated. They turned him into ash, and I don't know what they did.
You're like, I don't know what they did with him after that.
Mm. So, I don't know. Once again, I think we're a month and a half now. Everybody's looking for anything. Now we're taking a look at,
Yeah.
if the internet went out, well, wasn't that known that night? We can even go to like, down, or what is it? Any of these sites that charts, when the internet's down, your power's down or anything. Would not everybody in the place have known within a couple hours? With the police not known that the internet was out in that area that night? Do we have to wait until 45 days later? Yeah.
I mean, that's just like we just found out from Brian Eaton this week that a lady and her sister both had some weird stuff happen. One was I guess it was the week after Nancy went missing. FBI knocked on her sister's door and the cops didn't know who they were. And they come and swabbed her mouth because there wasn't supposed to be any FBI in the area. Fingerprinted her, swabbed her mouth, and dusted her whole house. You're like, eh.
I keep saying it. We're 45 days into this. Does anybody really have a good feeling about this publicly? Who knows what's going on behind the scenes, but.
No, I mean, I know that there's a lot of people are out there praying that Nanos pulls us out, but we're 45 days in. Nanos should have been, I feel like, a heck of a lot more on it than what he was, especially with it being such a high priority case. Right.
So 45 days in, and now they're coming back to where I think they should have been the whole time. And I will tell you, in my trivia group last night, they specifically asked me, don't you think it has something to do with her daughter and Epstein and everything else? It's like, no. The Today Show, it's not some hard hitting, it's not some hard hitting, in depth, go undercover reporting. I mean, they do like cooking, it's a lot of fluff, isn't it? We're not
I don't know.
These are not reporters that are on the front lines, wherever, bombs, in Iran or anything. I feel the same way like with Jody. Well, she must have gone missing because of something she worked on. Except, that Jody really wasn't into that type of reporting. She was not looking to do the hard, stuff. And that's the way the Today Show is, I think. So, as many reporters over the last so many years have talked about it, you're telling me then only one actually had anything happen to her or him? It seems unlikely.
This is true.
It just seems very, 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 very thin. And I told you it was until this happened.
I didn't either. And I lived in Tucson. You know?
Um, I realize, have 3 million viewers every day and everything, but what I think I know about the Today Show is that the guy who did that was not in the demographic of the Today Show. I think the Today Show is the multitude of viewers are female, older, and this was obviously some younger guy in his 30s. Or something like that. Not the demographic of the Today Show. So what are we talking about?
Oh, we do now know why they contain the three that they can, or the two that they contained.
Nope.
It's because they have the tattoos. They have tattoos around the wrist area. Because supposedly, when those doorbell videos, you can see a tattoo. I haven't seen the tattoo.
I haven't seen it.
And I've looked at all those.
We're going to start pulling over everybody with tattoos, man. We're going to be here a while.
Yeah, that's the way I'm feeling.
I'll escape it. I don't have any tattoos. But
I just find it just cheesy that it's been the way it's been, though, for the past 40 whatever days it is into it.
It's very rare. It's, like I said, it's going to be some unusual reason, but that doesn't mean it's going to be solved. It might never be. And the odds are at this point regarding disappearances that it's going to be solved by luck. Somebody's going to be happened upon something. If she is deceased, they're going to happen upon a remains somewhere. Somebody just happens to see something, and it's not any sort of step by step investigation.
Well, see, it's like everyone's like, well, this person has to have has to have someone they're in a relationship with. Well, maybe.
I'm not going to necessarily outright deny that, but when we start talking about relationships, it may be something like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Gabe. If you've ever, done with movies like that, how far away is any particular other movie star away from Kevin Bacon? How many movies do you have to go through before that person can be connected to Kevin Bacon? And this is the kind of same thing. Obviously, she's the mother of somebody on TV, on national TV. There's going to be a lot of people who know her, just know her, and I guess I've been told she's even been on the Today Show. So there's going to be a lot of people who know her, and there's going to be a lot of people who feel that they know her, even though they don't. That's, once again, doing a podcast for almost 10 years. There are listeners out there who feel like they know me, who think they know me. And if I were to see them somewhere, they'd be like, hey, how you doing? And I'd be like, who the heck is this? But they know me. And so so when you start thinking about relationships and how do we define that when we start getting into somebody who's on the fringes of being well-known, just the parent of somebody who's well-known.
Yeah.
We have to remember, we have had famous people's family members who have been, murdered. Michael Jordan's father, for example, or Bill Cosby's son, was murdered, pulled over to the side of the road, and it was a carjacking or something, I think. And that had nothing to do with Bill Cosby, of course. What we all found about this was years before all that stuff came out. And Michael Jackson's father had nothing to do with him being, Michael Jackson's father. So it's not automatic that somebody does something to Nancy Guthrie that it had something to do with her daughter.
Well, and like I'm pointing out, someone, if they're going to go down one daughter's, alleyway, basically, what, who, where, when, she's got another daughter and a son who's married. So, if someone was stalking someone, why does it always have to be the one that's the famous one? Annie lives there in Tucson,
Mhm.
2 blocks from or 2 miles from her mama.
No.
Hey, Doodle Love.
I don't know. The thing is, we don't know what happened. So we don't know how complex this really is. It doesn't look complex. It doesn't look deep, but it very well could be so.
Yeah.
And then, and of course, what we can't rule out is it's just some kook. Some kook, saw her somewhere and said, "Oh yeah, she's Satan. I have to do something to her." There's nothing that rules that out at this point. It's rare, but we know all sorts of things that are happening. Crimes are committed by people who are not thinking straight by any means. They don't see what the rest of us see. Oh,
Yeah.
we got dogs. We got action we got action. What's going on in the background there, D? Speaking of
Probably someone's walking or a cat or,
screaming and barking during a live show.
Yeah, that would be on my end.
Wow. Those dogs are going crazy.
And I'm trying to figure out which dogs it is. If it's the dogs south of me or if it's the dogs north of me. My dogs north of me, though, I can see on the other side of the fence. I don't see them running around.
Okay.
Interesting.
Huh. But yeah. I can't imagine being in Savannah Guthrie the rest of her entire family's shoes.
Yeah. That's the one that, I feel sorry for is the whole family, not just Savannah, but, her kids, her husband, her sister, and her brother's families as well, especially where Tommaso's been falsely accused by everyone out on YouTube streets. Annie's husband. It just is disgusting.
Yeah, it's no different. Something else that occurred to me is kind of like this is like and it just caught into my mind because of a talk I had recently with the the Olympic bombing in 1996. How everybody suspected that it was that guy who actually was trying to help. Remember, Richard Jewell.
Yeah.
He's trying to help, and then they thought he did it and just ruined his life. And then it ended up being a kook extremist who did it. And they didn't catch him, and they caught him by luck. When they didn't even know who it was. When the guy just pulled him over, didn't even know who the guy was, and it was like, oh, look at this. Some years later, so mistakes are made, people's reputations damaged.
Yeah.
And I get it that they're looking for people, and I support the idea that they should be looking at people around the neighborhood, in her circle of friends, circle of neighbors, and extended people. Makes all the sense in the world to me, but as a son-in-law or a son, somebody, can really, really deeply connected to her, really going to show up at like 2 or 3 in the morning when they were just with her a few hours before that.
Yeah. If they wanted to do something to her, they could have done it to her at the house.
Yeah.
Versus doing,
what's the motivation?
Something to her at her house,
Right. What's the motivation?
So that's where I'm at with it. I feel like whoever did this is someone who's probably pissed off at her about something in the neighborhood,
Right. And this is one of the reasons when people get featured on the podcast is that we get into their backgrounds. What's going on with them, the relationships and addictions, mental health issues. And what is, she may have been, Nancy Guthrie may have been the nicest woman in the world, but surely if I were to be covering her disappearance somewhere down the road and it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter what family member I was interviewing. I would
Mhm.
still be asking all the same questions. I would totally pretend I don't even know how her personality has been marketed to the public. We would start with square one. Who was she talking to? How was she getting along with other people? How long had she lived in the neighborhood? All that stuff. Because we know, hey, here's what we know. Fame and things like that can go to people's heads. And people can be the nicest people in the world, connected to famous people, rich people themselves. But sometimes when they don't get what they want, they start throwing that stuff around.
Yeah.
Don't you know who my daughter is? Don't you know this? Don't you know that? I could get her to say this on the Today Show, and she might not even mean it, but it's kind of like, don't you know who I am? It's like when famous people get pulled over for speeding. Don't you know who I am? It's kind of that. Well, you say that to the wrong person, that's how quickly it can happen.
This is true.
And I think it is something along those lines, but that's a little difficult to put together if an investigation.
Yeah.
So what else is going on, D? What have
Not
you
a
been
lot.
looking at? What have you been doing? What have you been looking at? What cases? Doesn't even matter if they're not disappearances. What have you been looking at?
Well, of course, I've been helping Donovan's mom, navigate some things. Like she's had to have flyers edited due to the fact some of them say brown eyes, and he didn't have brown eyes. He has blue eyes. They had his height wrong, so I had to find someone help with the editing and put the actual height in correctly, his eye color in correctly.
Yeah.
And then just basically sitting back and watching.
How long has he been missing?
Let me go. Give me one moment.
Okay.
I don't have my info in front of me.
Was it like recently or what?
He's been missing for 2 years. He went missing in 2023.
Well, why don't we talk about it a little bit? Maybe we have before, but let's do it again. What was the circumstances?
He is autistic. He had a meltdown. He started beating up on his mother. The mother called 911. They came. They took them both out of the house. Told her 48-hour hold on him unless she could send him, to stay somewhere else because they were worried about both their safeties, not just one. So she sent him down to his dad's here in Oklahoma. And he has not been seen since.
What's the dad say?
Dad says he last seen him, he walked off. Walked out the door in November with sandals on, basically.
Okay.
I was looking at what Doodle had to say there. She said to write. He just...
How long was he there at his dad's before this happened?
At least 3 days. At least.
Okay. And so the father just saw him walk off?
Yep. He walked off is all he'll tell anybody.
He's just sitting on the couch. Donovan gets up, goes out the door. That's the story?
Pretty much. Now the mom, on the other hand, has told me that Dad was on drugs prior. You gotta realize Donovan would be, I think, 23, 24 this year.
Okay.
And when it happened, I think he was 21. That the dad had been on drugs prior to him going missing. No reason to suspect he was on drugs again, but they had just gotten a big check from one of the native tribes that they belonged to. So she thinks that he...
The father.
Yep. So the mom thinks the dad, did something. She doesn't believe the story.
Well, I can maybe understand him getting to do with doing something to Donovan. I think that would make it less likely he would.
Doodle, I've been looking into Madison Fields, lured out of her home. So dang heartbreaking. I love that train, LOL. Everyone does. Doodle, you know this. Even Farq has yelled at me not to mute the train. So, the Australian.
The train.
Mm-hmm.
I barely even hear that train anymore, D.
You've gotten to where you tune it out, huh?
I've gotten used to it, yeah. I just try to imagine like the Aerosmith song "Train Kept a Rolling."
Oh.
So the father got a bunch of money. Would this not then mean? I mean, to me, that would make it think that it'd be less likely to.
Well, her way of thinking is dad pulled a bender and.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see. I think we just need more information. I mean, that's told he just walked off.
Well, I've been trying.
Who filed the missing persons report?
The mother, I think, is the one that alerted the authorities, but the report was filed underneath the dad's name.
Okay.
Now, if you go through the tribal side of it, I've seen the report done underneath her name. And she's not even native. The dad was, or is.
Okay. So, was he quick to act on it? Or how many days did it take?
I can't recall. I know I've talked to her about it on the phone, but I can't recall, and I don't want to say anything wrong.
Okay. Huh. Well, we certainly need some more facts there. Certainly. Might be something, but with autistic people, they do walk off. Especially if they're frustrated, especially if they're in new surroundings. Especially if he didn't know his father that well, he might have been afraid, it was something maybe that might not have been able to be explained to him. That there's a wide range of possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
What's the surrounding area like? Is there any water or anything? Have you even looked at a map?
Well, it's over in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma.
Okay.
Which would be, I think, south of Tulsa. And I'm trying to think. Only lake there that I can think of. No, Hugh Hefner's over this. Is it? There is a lake, but it's at least an hour to 2 hours away.
No, it doesn't count. Yeah, surely not. That's irrelevant. Irrelevant.
But what the BI has on him is went missing on November 8th, 2024, and was last known to be in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. He is He is described as having brown hair, blue eyes, last seen wearing a green Carhartt jacket without a hoodie, white t-shirt, blue jeans, and Crocs.
Okay. You didn't have a phone or anything?
It didn't say if he had a phone or a phone on him.
Okay. Yeah, not a lot of details. But my opinion, if we're gonna compare it to like Sebastian's disappearance, doesn't appear to be as straightforward as hit this one. Sebastian seemed to be a little more straightforward than this one. I think I'm open to more ideas with Donovan's than I am with Sebastian's.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've been working on that.
Yep.
Okay.
Like I said, I had to find her help with doing flyers and remaking them because of the screw ups on them.
Okay.
Been doing some panel hopping here and there.
Panel hopping?
Yes.
You mean like on live shows on YouTube?
Yes.
What's been going on in those? What have you been talking about there?
A lot of people, the whole did anyone suspect this with Arctic and stuff? And I've been going up, no. As a friend who knew him for 5 years, no, I never expected this out of him.
So that's been popping up.
What
about any cases or murder or disappearance?
Not really. I mean, I think I went into, was it Doodle last week? I was in your chat and watched. I think it was last week. I was over at Doodle's. And she does like a bunch of different cases, and runs their flyers and their names and their information. So that way people can see it and, share out the flyers.
Right.
Be on the lookout. If you're in that area, kind of keep an eye out. You never know what you might see.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But other than that, and talking to Candace on the phone all the time.
Your new daughter.
Yes, her daughter.
How's she doing? Not to get too personal, but how's she doing?
Some days are easier than others. Still, I mean, I think it's always going to be that way for her. Some days are easier than others. Some days she just wants to go back to bed and not worry about the rest of the world. And I get it. Shut out the world and not have to deal with it. Yeah. Other days, she's on the phone with me at least 20 times a day for at least
half the
day.
Oh, my goodness.
Uh-huh. My hands are completely full with that one.
Sounds like it.
Her and my friend Mama Bear. They're both two of the most craziest people I've ever met sometimes. One was telling me, Mama Bear keeps telling me, I'm going to teach you how to grow a backbone. I'm like, okay. Sure. I'm one of the few that have stood up and said, yeah, I knew him. No, we did not suspect this. Mm-hmm. Any other questions, And I'll leave the panel and run away and not talk to anyone for the rest of the day. Poor Candace, she's like, you're so tied up with that. And I was like, I know. I'm sorry. Give me a week and I'll be over it. Trust me.
Well, my question is, if she's talking to you that much today, this is just a new thing for you. Who was she talking to before you got back into her life, Dee?
Well, me and Candace have talked off and on. Oh, you're talking about my daughter.
Yeah, your daughter. Yes.
My daughter. Well, that's also a fun one, too. There are some days she'll talk to me, and other days I get a thumbs up. So we
All
just.
right. Okay. Oh, that's kids.
I'm
Kids.
giving her her room. I was advised by some of the YouTubers that are friends of mine to give her a break and give her her room. And I'm like,
Yep.
okay.
That's right. Yeah.
They're like, she's already found you, Ma. She knows where you're at. She'll be okay. And when
right.
she's ready, she'll come.
That's right.
So she's just like you. Yeah. Yeah, Doodles. Yeah.
Those genetics. They're hard to resist.
At least I don't call you guys at, 8 o'clock at night or at midnight going, hey, I need to talk to you. I need to show you this video. How do you feel now? Ugh. She's a handful. She really is.
Mm-hmm. And you've met her?
She has plans, but I don't know if those plans are going to fall through or not. Her and her boyfriend broke up, so that's a positive on my part.
Oh, you like that happened?
Oh, yes.
All right.
So much so. Oh. And I told her not to do that one ever again. And she's like, then what do you expect me to do? I was like, I've got 2 guys at the fire department. One's in his 30s, the other one's in his 20s. You can pick from either one of them. Just not that again. Oh, I'm good.
And you know who I haven't heard from tonight? Where's Nick? Where's the son? He hasn't come out. What's he doing?
Well, because of his allergies, he's lost his voice.
Oh, he has. Well, bonus for you.
Yes, very much so.
He gets
But
allergies.
today I got called by the school.
So he gets allergies and he loses his voice?
Yes. He coughs so much it makes him go hoarse. So we're good.
Oh, wow. So that's why we haven't heard from him tonight.
I got called today at school, right? Because he went to school the past 3 days. He didn't go on Monday, but the past 3 days he's went. And the nurse calls me. She goes, well, are you Nick's mom? I was like, yeah. She goes, well, Nick was just in the office, and he said that he was having a hard time breathing out there on the swings. So I was asking him what he was doing, and he said he was just swinging. I was like, do I need to come get him? And she goes, no, she goes, his oxygen level's great. His lungs sound clear. And if you're having a hard time breathing, you have a hard time talking.
Uh-huh.
She goes, I don't think.
There he is.
Yep, there he is. 8:55.
There his voice is.
No, you don't. You ain't got school tomorrow. Bye.
Wait, what? Oh,
Love you. Bye.
First kid in recorded history that didn't know he didn't have school tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
Why no school tomorrow?
Well, last Friday they didn't have, and this Friday they don't have. Do you know what? Oh, do you know why y'all don't have school tomorrow?
Because it's spring break.
He says because of spring break.
Oh, okay.
I never got an extra day during the spring break. It was always a week.
Yeah, right. I don't even know if we got any spring break days in Pennsylvania when I was in high school. That's not, I don't know. In college, yeah, but not in high school or in regular school, whatever you want to call it. So he'll be around tomorrow, huh, Dee?
Oh, yeah. I am so thrilled. Can you hear it in my voice?
I can hear it. I can feel it the whole way down to Florida.
And then all next week I get to deal with him. I may be looking to run away, Doodles.
Like,
too bad you don't live closer. Oh.
always put him up for adoption.
Well, better than the comment my friend who lives in Arizona said to me one day. She popped off. She goes, "Have you ever thought? Too bad you didn't." I was like, "Yeah, I know. I never thought that." She goes, "Well, how about those boxes? You just drop them off and leave them in." No, Ann, he's too old for that too. You know, the fire department had the safe boxes. Drop them off and leave him and walk away. I was like,
I know
no.
what I wanted to ask you about. What's going on with your vehicle?
Okay, yes, that.
And then I'm going to get out of here tonight. I want to know what's wrong with your vehicle. We talked about that last week or the week before, whatever.
The brain, basically, the EMC or yeah.
The computer.
Yep.
The computer took a crap, huh?
Yep. With me driving it.
Well, computers hate you anyway, D, so we shouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I kind of noticed from time to time how much this.
We thought it was just like the regular computers. Now we know it's computers in cars too.
It's all computers that don't like Taylor. That's great.
To a lesser extent, electricity.
Oh, that
Wow,
and
so
cords.
you got it replaced. Did it get fixed?
That and cords for me. Cords also try to run away or break.
Uh-huh. So did you get it fixed or what?
He had
that rig or what?
Well, he has $600 credit at the automotive shop, so he went ahead and told him to fix it.
Okay.
He went in yesterday. I think they called him, so he went up there and they told him, "Look, considering you're such a great, dependable car owner who's always going to be in here, we're going to cut you a discount. It's only going to cost you $500 once it's done."
All right.
So he's excited. He's like, "Yay, we ain't going to pay an arm and a leg."
What kind of car was this?
It's that Chevy pickup.
It was the 71 truck.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. 4x4.
See,
So
I remember stuff, D. Yeah. Okay. Well, it could have been $5,000. Could have been $1,000. Could have been transmission. Could have been stuff.
It could have been the motor itself, I guess.
Could have been. All right. Well, but you don't have it back yet.
No.
All right. All right. Well, D, I'm gonna go. It's been nice.
All
It's
right.
going fast.
Well, this next week, hopefully, I'll have something figured out with trivia. I had some fun trivia set up for tonight,
That's
just
fine.
in
You know
case.
what? We just talk current events and stuff. We could do that too. Whatever. It would. Maybe something will happen. It'll be another Nancy Guthrie disappearance or something.
Who knows? Nancy Guthrie might be found by next week, you guys.
If that happens, I hope she's found alive. We'll talk about it. Okay. All right, D, I'm out of here. Good talking to you.
Hi, Ed. See you later.
All right. Watch out for those tornadoes.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Peace out, guys. Till next time. Laters.